What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, we're going to be checking out game reviews of Pokémon Legends ZA. They're all out right now, so we're going to check out one specifically from GameSpot to see how well the game holds up for right now until the game's release. So we're going to check that out, but before we do that, if you're interested in this channel and want to see more Pokemon Legends content, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. And with that being said, let's go ahead and check out the video. Alright, so let's see how the game holds up. Looks pretty nice already. And I've also been told this is played on the Switch 2. So we don't know how the Switch 1 version really holds up, so anyways, let's go ahead and on with the video.
I had the chance to play almost 2 hours of Pokémon Legends ZA, and we learned a lot. The demo was divided into 3 different sections, so let's get into it. So, to start things off, before we even got to play the game, we were able to take a look at the opening cutscene of Pokémon Legends ZA, and it plays out how most Pokémon cutscenes play, but unlike in Pokémon Legends Arceus, there is no time travel in the setup of this game. Instead, you arrive by train to Lumio City, where you meet Urbane or Tawny. These are the 2 rival-like characters. I believe you can pick which one you want at the beginning, and they give you one of your 3 starter Pokémon. Now, of course, I'm gonna choose Totodile because Totodile is the best.
Absolutely.
But if you have worse opinions, you could pick Tepig or you could pick Chikorita. After that, we were moved to our stations where we got to check out the first part of the demo, which was Wild Zones. Well, actually, technically, before we explored the Wild Zone, they let us do some character customization. And just like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, you can pull up the character customization menu at any time. You can adjust facial features, hairstyles, and so on from the menu at any time. However, the more exciting thing that I think a lot of people will be happy with is that there are way more fashion options this time around.
Oh, that's good.
If you remember Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, it did have some good like facial customization options, but the outfit situation was pretty dire. You couldn't even choose your pants separate from your shirt. It was all one outfit, and then you could pick hats and gloves.
Yeah, it was pretty trash.
Shoes, but there was no customization in the minutia. With this, it seems like you'll be able to customize all of that, and there were so many different options. I feel like, you know, people are gonna have a good time creating their character, collecting different outfits, choosing what they wanna wear. Now, I didn't spend a whole lot of time doing this because we had a limited amount of time, so I wanted to get into the game as soon as I could. So after I did a quick character and changed the clothes around, I walked into the Wild Zone and I started exploring. Now, the first thing that I noticed was that the Wild Zone is much smaller than the areas you got to explore in Legends Arceus. I'm a little bummed by this, and I think many people are. Lumio City by nature is not small. It is definitely one of the bigger cities in Pokemon, and it seems pretty big based on the map, but these Wild Zones only take up a small section of the map. So it felt a little small. Now, that being said, this definitely wasn't the biggest Wild Zone on the map. When I took a look, this was probably about medium size. So I think there are definitely some bigger ones, but don't go in expecting these big, wide open landscapes like we saw in
Yeah, I wouldn't expect that either.
So the main 2 Pokemon that populated this Wild Zone were Baniri and Houndour, not Houndoom. There was a Houndoom, but it was mostly Houndours. Catching works very similar to what we saw in Arceus. You can crouch, you can sneak around, you can line up your throw, chuck your Pokeball, catch Pokemon that way, or you can start a battle. You can weaken the Pokemon, and then you can throw a Pokeball to catch it. It all happens in real time as well. Obviously, the battle system is real time this time around, but also you as a player can move around just like in Arceus, and you can, while you're fighting, you can line up a shot and throw a Pokeball. I would say one interesting thing I noticed was that there wasn't a lot of catching items. So if you remember in Arceus, there were a lot of items outside of Pokeballs that you could use to help catch Pokemon. The mud balls, the bombs you could throw. You had things to help you catch Pokemon. In this, I didn't see any of that. Now, it could just be a case, you know, I'm early in the game, they didn't want to give me any of that for the demo. They just wanted me to focus on catching, throwing Pokeballs, but all that were there were the Pokeballs, the Great Balls, and the Ultra Balls. As I was exploring this area, I did come across 2 alpha Pokemon. The first was a Houndoom, which was pretty tough, not too bad. I had a Gyarados in my party, so I was able to kind of use that type weakness to get through it. I didn't catch it though, because once you knock out an alpha Pokemon, you have 1 chance to catch it. I didn't catch it, so it disappeared. I think I probably could have tried earlier to see if I could have caught it, but I waited until I knocked it out. Threw my Pokeball, it escaped and disappeared. It sounds like if you leave and come back, it'll be there again if you didn't manage to catch it, but I don't know for certain. We'll have to wait until the game comes out to see. So other than that, I did climb up on a building and there was a giant alpha Pikachu. Now this Pikachu was tearing through my party. It was like level 40, I think, and all my Pokemon were level 20. I still put up a good fight. Thanks to the combat mechanics, you can avoid attacks that might be super effective or just flat out strong, but it still got the better of me. But I think probably the more interesting thing to point out is that while Pokemon Legends ZA may not be as expansive as Arceus in terms of where you're exploring, there is a lot of verticality. There were a couple ladders you could climb up. It seems like there's plenty of secrets hidden on these rooftops, tucked away in alleyways, so it definitely seems denser. It seems like there is still plenty to explore, but there's less traveling big long distances. Fortunately, if your Pokemon do get weakened, there usually are cafes in these areas, and you can stop at a cafe, buy a drink, and take a moment to relax, take photos of your Pokemon as they're drinking tea, and this is how you heal your Pokemon. It seems like this is what you want to do when Pokemon get weak, rather than just letting them faint, because I actually did get knocked out by this Pikachu, and I was teleported outside the Wild Zone to the nearest Pokemon Center. I didn't get to explore inside the Pokemon Center. A demo person quickly came over and made me fast travel back to the Wild Zone so I could keep exploring, but it seems like you will be running across these cafes multiple times, and usually it's a good idea to stop and hang out. I think most of the drinks are around like a couple hundred Poké Dollars, so it's fairly cheap as well. So after this, they put me in the ZA Royale, and for those who don't know, this is sort of a tournament that takes place in Lumiose City at night, where a bunch of trainers prowl the streets and you fight them. Once you beat them, you get challenger tickets, I believe, and once you have enough challenger tickets, you do a promotion match, and once you beat that promotion match, you rank up. And the idea is you start from rank Z and you move all the way to rank A. I believe I was at rank X and got promoted to W. It was pretty quick to collect all the challenger tickets. Basically, you just battle trainers. However, it seems like there are some ways to make this process even quicker. Throughout the area, there were these pickups that would give you simple challenges that you could do in the moment. A lot of them were like sneak up on an enemy trainer, or
that Pokeball is shiny as hell.
type attack against a fire type Pokemon, or something along those lines. I'm sure they get more complicated, and I'm sure I might be butchering what some of them exactly were, but what I'm trying to say is they were pretty simple challenges that would net you extra tickets. So it seems like there's a good loop of finding these challenges throughout the map, and then reorganizing your party to complete those challenges and then engage in battle. The other cool thing, which I think people know by now, but I think it's worth talking about again, is that you can actually sneak up on trainers this time and you can get an advantage. So if you're sneaky, if you're hiding behind objects, crouching, whatever it might be, and you get behind a trainer and they don't notice you, neither does your Pokemon, you can send out a Pokemon right away, you can attack it immediately, and you'll start the battle off with an advantage. This didn't seem too important for what I was doing. The battles were very simple. Like I said, it was pretty early on in the game, but I can see how this could be very useful later on when things get tougher. In fact, I'm really curious to see how the challenge kind of ramps up as you move through the ranks, because that is one thing I did notice when I played ZA back in August. It seemed like occasionally there might be some trainers that are much tougher, they have much higher level Pokemon than everyone else around, so I feel like getting that advantage could mean a lot. So after I had enough challenger tickets, they let me do a promotion match. Like I said, this is the battle that lets you rank up, and for this fight, I fought...
Okay, just gotta pause real quick, because this right here, this is like inside a gym. In my opinion, there really should not be any movement. You know, one trainer should be on one side, the other trainer should be on the other side, and in the middle should be just the Pokemon itself doing the battles. So I think they kind of messed up here. That's just my take on it.
A chef, and he had Simipour, Simisage, and Simisear. And probably one of the coolest things about this fight is that he threw up a lot of protects.
And that was sick.
Which work a little differently.
That flame wheel was kind of cool.
Games, obviously, when you use a protect, it protects that Pokemon from all incoming attacks for a turn. Unless you're against Urshifu, because that's some bullshit. However, in this, it's more timing based. You need to throw up protect at a specific time, right before an attack is coming, and your Pokemon can hold it for a bit. So this trainer was actually pretty good at setting up protect right as I was about to attack him. And it was kind of annoying, but also kind of cool. And I think going off of that, it's really cool to see how a lot of these traditional Pokemon moves have translated to the combat style of Pokemon Legends ZA. Because it's real-time combat and attacks are on cooldowns, a lot of moves have to do something different. And there were a couple cool examples I noticed. So first of all, I had a Talonflame. It's the one before Talonflame. I don't remember middle evolutions. I always forget them. But it had Whirlwind. Now, traditionally, Whirlwind forces a switch. However, in this, it just knocks a Pokemon back, giving you space. And spacing and positioning is way more important in this, so I can see how that could be useful. Another move that I got to check out that did something very differently was Toxic Spikes. So normally Toxic Spikes just punishes trainers who switch in their Pokemon often. What this does instead is it lays down physical traps that if a Pokemon comes in contact with it, they get poisoned. There's a bunch of other examples, like I think Double Team makes your Pokemon invulnerable for a bit. So it kind of works like Protect, but maybe the timing is a little different. The other thing I did notice too, going in the menus, is that instead of priority, moves have like a speed. I think they might still call it priority in the menus. Don't remember the exact phrasing. Basically, it just kind of denotes how quickly a move goes off. And there are moves, you know, as expected, like Quick Attack. Use Quick Attack, it attacks right away. If you use something like Flame Wheel, there's a little bit of a charge up that happens before the move comes out. So I'm really curious to see how all these different moves have been translated, how priority works. I think there's a lot of interesting things at play here that flip Pokemon combat on its head, and I think they've done something really interesting here. I'm really excited to see more. So the final segment I got to play was for a Rogue Mega Evolution battle.
Seen these, this one that features a Mega Victory Bell.
So earlier I got to do one against an Absol, but this one was against Mega Evolve Victory Bell, which I'm sure you've seen by now if you're watching this video. It's a good Pokemon. I like the design of that. But it was a giant Mega Victory Bell in the center of the map that was just throwing out attacks left and right, and I had to find an opening. I stuck with my Mega Houndoom for most of the time just because of type advantage there, but I had multiple Pokemon that could Mega Evolve, so it seems like multiple Pokemon can Mega Evolve in these fights, which is interesting. In X and Y, you can only Mega Evolve one Pokemon per battle. In this, it seems like multiple Pokemon can Mega Evolve. The caveat being is that I don't really know how Mega Evolution works outside of these rogue Mega battles. So far, we haven't been able to use Mega Evolutions in battles. I'm really curious to see how these rules change depending on the situation. All that to say though, the Mega Victory Bell battle was pretty fun. It was somewhat challenging. It did knock out my Houndoom, and I had to send in some other Pokemon as I tended its wounds. But I do really think that these Mega Evolution battles could be a lot of fun, especially later on. I feel like some of the rare Pokemon you can likely only get through Mega Evolutions, and they'll kind of save that maybe for the back half, and you can kind of hunt these rogue Megas throughout the city, and they'll provide some challenge and reward you with a really good Mega Pokemon. Anyway, that's everything I got to play for Pokemon Legends ZA. For more on Pokemon, stay tuned to GameSpot.
That's cool, that's cool. Okay, so after watching this, I guess it's safe to say that the game looks and runs pretty well. They didn't seem to have any issues with it, but there are some things that I did want to point out that I probably should have discussed earlier. I know he mentioned something about customization, that there's a lot more options now, so it's not really, I guess in his case, there's not really a lot of the same outfits that, you know, I guess maybe like the generic outfits. Hopefully it's not that. And you know, most of the designs and outfits and the customizations are going to be more diverse and separates, you know, and make it separate from everybody else and not having like the same ones with different, like the same outfits with different colors, things like that. That's how it was in Scarlet and Violet and the games that came before that too, that had customization features. So I really hope that I hope they really nailed down this customization stuff. But from what he's saying, it looks like they actually did do something good with it. So we'll know for sure until we actually play the game. So I'll definitely be checking that out. Another thing he did mention as well, and it was in regards to the Wild Zones. So he said the Wild Zones, at least the ones that he went to, the Wild Zone 6, was not as big as I guess maybe he had hoped. But the city is pretty big in itself, so I guess that kind of makes sense why the Wild Zones wouldn't be too big. But then again, you just, you know, you have your floor area, and then you have the rooftop that you can also go and hunt down Pokemon and stuff like that too. So they showed pretty much that. They showed how you can battle the Pokemon, like the Houndour, for example. You get to do all those things. And another keynote too about this is that when it comes to catching Pokemon, you can actually get their HP down to 0. But the thing is, when it gets down to 0, there's like a timer in a sense of how long it takes for you to actually catch it when it's pretty much in a stunned state like what you see here. So you got a certain amount of time in order for you to catch it. So I guess in this sense, it's a lot easier for you to catch it that way than as the usual, get his HP down to as low as possible. So I do like that concept. My only issue, and this is another issue here, I'm going to address it in a second, but my issue is for shiny hunting. Now, when it comes to shiny hunting, are we still doing this method? And how is that going to be implemented as far as like us catching it? How hard is it? We don't know exactly how difficult it's going to be to an extent as far as catching shiny Pokemon. We need to probably look into that, but like I said, we won't know much about that until we actually play the game for ourselves and see how that actually works. Are there mass outbreaks? Are they going to be making a return in this game? Seems highly likely, but not sure. No, we don't know for sure, but that's my main issue right now, because I do shiny hunts and stuff, so I got to do all these things and make sure that we don't all have a hard time doing these things, because yeah, I do like shiny Pokemon a lot. He also mentioned about the alpha Pokemon as well, as far as catching them. I think it goes the same way. Once you get the HP down, you should still be able to catch them, but they are harder to catch, and they are a little bit difficult to to obtain. So I do like that kind of difficulty level they have going on for that. So it's pretty cool. Now, one of the things he did mention here about I guess item gathering. So like he mentioned in Pokemon Legends Arceus, there were collectible items that you can use to help you catch the Pokemon a lot easier. In Legends Arceus, you can pick up like a ball of mud, or you can pick up like berries to distract the Pokemon, things like that to make it easier for you to catch. But this is Legends Arceus, where obviously this is like way back in the past time, so you don't know much about these Pokemon yet, but there's resources that you can use to catch them. This Pokemon Legends game, however, takes place in the future. So they don't go through those kind of, I wouldn't think they would go through those kind of links to try to catch Pokemon. It's just pretty much the standard. You initiate a battle with them and then you catch them, simple as that. But maybe, I don't know, maybe you can use berries to distract them. I don't know if they're going to use that, but I wouldn't think they would have like balls of mud or other things to like really like distract them in a sense. So I don't know if there are going to be things like that in the game. It didn't really show that they like what items you can actually have in your possession once you're in the wild area. So we know little about that, but maybe they might be in the game. Who knows? Okay, so we see here he's talking about the battle royale, and basically what you have to do: collecting medals and then getting enough points to get a promotion match. And once you get the promotion match, you get to rank up, going from rank Z all the way to rank A. So I think that's pretty self-explanatory in the sense, you can sneak up on Pokemon in battle to get the advantage. I also noted about certain things about the Pokemon battles here too. Like there is some strategy, to going into these battles here, and it's not just as simple as just pressing a button to use an attack and that'll be that. There's obviously, and we've seen this already, that Pokemon moves, they don't have power points, or PP for short. So it all goes by a cooldown timer, and you got to be really strategic on what moves to use. And it's all about, as well as you mentioned, the pacing of the battle, pacing in terms of movement, knowing when to move around, knowing when to position yourself to make these attacks. He also mentioned that there's some actual startup to some attacks, and that may get changed if you increase like your speed. So if you use agility, I know increasing your speed lowers the cooldown time for attacks, but maybe it could also lessen the time needed to do certain attacks as well. So I don't know if that's actually been shown in the game, but that'll be a really cool thing. So if they really do something like that, they really, in my view, I think they really would have changed the way Pokemon battles are. And so I think I'll be way more satisfied if they gone that direction. So it seems like that's the case here. Again, like I said, my only gripe with this is that when it comes to gym battles like this, it's fine if you're outside Limio City and you're doing these kind of battles. It's kind of obvious to do it because you're out in the open. But if you're inside a closed area, like this area here, if you're inside a closed area, wouldn't it make sense just to have one trainer on one side and another trainer on the other? Like, they're all over the place. That's just my take on it. And that's how I know, like, this is how I know I'm a real Pokemon fan, because I'm so used to seeing two trainers inside a gym on both sides that just have their Pokemon just battle it out. So I don't know why they didn't go in that direction or give that option to do that. Maybe control the Pokemon and still have the move sets and stuff like that. The only thing different about it is that you're just moving Pokemon instead of the trainer. So I don't know if they could actually do something like that, but I'm hoping maybe in Generation 10, if they're still going to go with this battle mechanic, that they actually do fix that up a little bit and actually start making us actually use the Pokemon itself for these types of battles, if they're going in that direction. So that's my only hope. But again, that's just my take on that. But other than that, I mean, I still like the whole, Pokemon battle mechanics. I love all of it. I love all what's been shown so far. And then they have the Rogue Mega Evolve battle. This one that featured the Mega Victory Bell. Nothing really to be shown here. Nothing special about it. They did go into the fact that you can Mega Evolve multiple Pokemon, as is shown here, because you got Gardevoir, Houndoom. I believe they also can Mega Evolve, so you can actually Mega Evolve multiple Pokemon. It's not just one Pokemon per battle. So any Pokemon that can Mega Evolve can do so, as long as you gather up the, those particles that they drop, build up that energy meter, and you're pretty much good to go, which I do like. So that is confirmed. You can actually Mega Evolve multiple Pokemon per battle. So that's awesome news. That's very awesome news. We also know about the plus moves. Plus moves are basically just enhanced versions of the attack, stronger attacks. But that's about it. Pretty much what we're showing. There's nothing. I mean, there's some new things that we did learn, but there's also some things that we did know already about the game. But I just wanted to get my, I just wanted to know what their reviews were in terms of how the game is right now. And so far, what I've read, been mostly positive. So maybe this is the game that's going to take Pokemon in the next 10 years, maybe in the right direction for the next 10 years, maybe. But as for right now, it's looking to be pretty good. So I can't wait to get my hands on the game. Game comes out in about 2 weeks or so, so I'll definitely be playing that. So if you guys want to check that out, definitely hit that subscribe button. And if you actually stuck all the way through the end of this video, please consider hitting that like button, as it helps out the channel a lot. So I will appreciate it. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. Catch you guys later. Peace out.